All right, my next guest is the executive director of Speech First. She returns to the program. Sharice Trump, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Okay, I'm not getting this. University of Houston, students were being disciplined for laughing at laughing at what?
Well, the University of Houston actually had a harassment policy that listed jokes and stereotyping as, which are constitutionally protected speech, by the way, as things that you could be accused of harassment for. So yes, if students were laughing at jokes that others deemed inappropriate, they could report them for harassment.
Wait. They might not even be telling the joke. They just might be laughing at it.
Right, yeah. The policy states that it could take place anytime on or off campus, in social media. It could be someone who wants to pile on. So.
Off campus. Mm-hmm. So I might be out at a nightclub or other places where students are sipping sodas, because that's what students do off campus. I might be at a place having a soda. Someone tells a joke. I spit my soda out because I would only ever be drinking soda. And I could be charged under the university's harassment policy?
Yeah, if someone wanted to report you for harassment. Now, what a lot of universities do here is they tend to have their Title IX policies, and they'll have a second policy that they'll call discriminatory harassment policy or anti-harassment policy, which was here in the case of University of Houston. And they'll usually put it on the same website as their Title IX policy, so students really often can't tell what is actually part of the federal standard, federal regulation for Title IX that they can be prosecuted for, or what is just the university saying, hey, we want to control your speech, and this probably isn't constitutional, but we're going to loop it all in here anyway. Students can't tell the differences between those, especially when it's all labeled some form of anti-harassment policy. And in the case of University of Houston, that's what they did.
You know, I have a teeny tiny bit of experience with this. I'm going to be 50 this year, so I'm going way back to my days at the University of Florida and being a member of a fraternity. The Dean of Greek Affairs decided we were not allowed to have anything offensive on T-shirts we might print for events like formal or what we affectionately called Woodser, which was where you would take a date and you'd go out and there'd be a bonfire. And of course, you'd only have sodas. And, you know, you would borrow part of a local farm and have a bonfire and, again, sodas. And I remember saying, so if we're using money that we raise having nothing to do with the university and we go to a silkscreen T-shirt printing place off campus having nothing to do with the university and we don't even wear the T-shirts on campus, I said, where under the First Amendment do you get the authority to tell me what T-shirt I could wear? And I remember the dean being very, very flustered with this. You don't talk back to me, but I never got an answer.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that problem still hasn't been resolved today. I still see universities that put restrictions on students who want, or clubs that want to have T-shirts that say, you know, police lives matter, but they never put those same restrictions, obviously, on students who want to print T-shirts that say Black Lives Matter. So there clearly is viewpoint discrimination here in a lot of these scenarios. And with policies like the one at Houston, what they'll do is they'll just kind of select who they want to enforce these policies against, which is another version of viewpoint discrimination against conservative students.
You know, and this is what I think happens to a lot of kids. Look, even kids that think they know their rights, you know, nobody, when you think about what your student loan is or what your parents' expectations are for you and how much money they may have laid out, you know, you're afraid to get kicked out of school, right? I mean, it was scary enough when you were a smaller kid to go down to the principal's office. Now you might be facing disciplinary action, you know, losing credits, you know, maybe even getting expelled from the university over these stupid policies. I'd be afraid of it too.
Yeah, well, that's why Speech First launched a lawsuit against the University of Houston, because our student members were terrified of getting reported as well, and this being a permanent blotch on their records. So we launched a lawsuit earlier this year, and we won a preliminary injunction, which allows us to stop the policy from being enforced. And actually, the judge ruled not too long ago that that the policy was unconstitutional and that we did win on the merits. So that is a huge win for us, because not only did we get the policy repealed, we got them to also rewrite it with our language that is very constitutionally sound, and we also got them to pay a $30,000 fee, which is about 3 years of tuition at the University of Houston.
How much authority, and I forgot the phrase, I think it was in Latin, it was something in the absence of parents, that universities tend to mother hen their students and consider them, even if they're not living in the dormitories, right? There's obviously going to be a different standard for things if you live in the dormitory versus, let's say, having an off-campus apartment. The idea that because you attend the university, that the minute you cross off grounds, that they can still create policies that follow you wherever you go, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is something I try to make clear to students all the time is, look, you're adults now. You should know your rights. You should read these contracts, right? The student codes of conduct and the various policies on these campuses that you are signing on to and that you're spending tens of thousands of dollars for to make sure they're not violating your rights. That is something that as a student, the onus is on you to really call the universities out when they are violating your rights, because the universities will take advantage of your ignorance. And that's what they depend on wholeheartedly. They hope that students don't know their rights so they can control every move that they make.
And let's be honest, if you're talking about a state university, it is a taxpayer-funded government or public institution, different than what might be the policy at a small private college. But they cannot just create their own standards and say, well, that's just policy. No, you're still part of the government system. You still have to respect my rights.
Right, exactly. The universities do not have authority over the First Amendment or the Constitution, and this is something that we're going to see more of, because now that the new Title IX policy recommendations have come out from the Biden administration, they basically open the door up for universities to really restrict what students say if those rules were to be accepted.
And isn't this also a little bit of sort of, this is how the bully victim thing works, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm upset and I'm going to take it, like, I don't... it's sort of weaponizing, if you will, this sort of, well, we believe in free speech, but not when it offends me. And if it offends me, I'm going to get you. And I'm going to get you through the university. And I'm going to get you through the administration. I'm going to get you because I'm upset.
Right. No, it's absolutely interesting how this happens, because it is in a way systematized, because as long as the university administrators are on board with this woke dogma, they actually can be used as a battering ram against conservative students. And that's what the left does. You see a lot of far left woke students participating in organizations like the Student Government Association and trying to restrict what conservative clubs get funding. And they have the backing and the support of the administrators on their campuses. So this is something that we're seeing more and more everywhere.
I thought a university campus was supposed to be a place where there was this vibrant exchange of ideas and positions and thoughts, and you were supposed to spend 2 or 4 years or 6 years, depending on what degrees you get, sort of, I don't want to use the phrase finding yourself, but yes, finding yourself, that you're supposed to come in and you're supposed to walk out going, okay, I have formulated a thought, a theory, a politic, whatever it is, because I've been exposed to all these things. I have sometimes been offended, sometimes I laughed, sometimes I agreed, sometimes I disagreed, but now I'm walking out of here with my degree and a little bit more maturity. I think part of the reason is young people are being so put in a bubble and coddled and don't ever expose yourself to anything that offends your current little state, and you'll be fine. No, you're producing children at that point.